How do you covertly measure your girlfriend's ring size? My boyfriend and I both wear rings. One day we were just standing around and he took one of my rings to try on and gave me one of his rings to try on. I don't think he was particularly trying to get measurements, but looking back now, that would have been a good way to do it. This is kinda what I did. Grabbed one of her rings on her dresser and figured out how far onto my finger I could get it. Went to the jeweler and got it measured to that spot. Start a Reddit thread and wait for girls to respond with their ring sizes. Then open the thread and show the GF while commenting how weird it is that women randomly know this and make a comment about it being as strange as knowing your blood type. She'll nonchalantly respond with both pieces of information. Later that night, after she falls asleep, cut off her right ring finger to validate both. Back up a secretary. Measure twice, cut once. You like playing 4D chess, right? r/harlop. I had my sister tell her, did you know that your ring size is always the same as your shoe size? Which was a totally made up fact, but it made my girlfriend say that's weird because my ring size is X, but my shoe size is Y. I don't get why everyone knows their ring size in this thread. I only know because I got sized for my engagement ring and wedding ring. My ring size is 43. Sincerely, Europe. In her sleep, very discreetly wrap a bread tie around her finger at the knuckles. Then put it away. The jeweler has the tools that will make the bread tie perfectly round and also give you a size. This is actually helpful. Thank you. People who set off fireworks in the days leading up to July 4th. Why? My hometown does their big fireworks show on July 3rd. I think it's pretty smart. People stay up late the night before watching and setting off fireworks, then sleep in the next day. A lot of people don't automatically get off work on July 5th. We set some off on July 3rd because we don't have off on the 5th, so our kids need to be in bed on time on the 4th. Rehearsal for the ending of a community theater production of V for Vendetta. I don't set off fireworks outside the 4th of July, but I assume the reasoning of most people who do is because blowing shit up is fun. Because blowing shit up is fun. Seriously. People like setting off fireworks on other days because it's fun. It doesn't suddenly not become fun just because it's not the 4th of July. I don't particularly care for fireworks, but it's pretty obvious why people who like it would want to do it on other days. However, you do tend to get a lot of people setting off fireworks before and after big celebrations like the American Independence Day or Guy Fawkes Night in the UK. It's very upsetting to dogs or people who have issues with loud sudden bangs, so I can see why pet owners and those people get frustrated with people setting them off for a week straight for fun, rather than just the one night. Ding 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 ding, we have a winner. Why else would people do it besides it being fun? Getting an old man yelling at clouds vibe from this entire post. Jesus. I'm guessing they buy them before, but can't bear the weight and resist lighting a couple. Some of my neighbors were shooting them off at like 2 in the afternoon. I have no idea why. You can't see anything in the middle of the day. Scared the shit out of my dog though. At least they weren't shooting them off at 1 AM on a weeknight. My neighbor 2 doors down has 3 truck beds full of them. He started at about noon and went till 11:45, which is the cutoff. All the while double fisting natty lights and jamming to Metallica. He hasn't mowed his lawn in a month. Because Canada Day is July 1st. Not in Kentucky, it's not. My neighbors are just assholes. What's something you regret not doing? When I was 16, I started losing weight in a healthy way via good clean eating and working out and dance and sports. I stopped. I wish I'd kept it up. I'm losing weight now, but being overweight isn't nice, and I've got no one to blame for my shit life but me. Keep going. You are gonna succeed, I promise you. I regret not sticking up for myself more during the awkward teenager years. I could have avoided a lot of bullies if I had fought back instead of trying to ignore the problem. Edit. Thank you all for your replies. It has been amazing to know that I was not alone in my struggle. I totally feel you, bro. I was also trying hard to please others instead of standing up for myself. and I was always worried about others getting angry at me. It seriously pisses me off now, whenever I think about it. I regret not putting myself out there sooner and trying to date others instead of trying for this one girl I liked for years thinking something would happen between us. I ended up just losing interest in her eventually, but I can't help but wonder who I missed out on if I had let myself be open to others all these years sooner. I regret not having accepted a full 2-year scholarship to study abroad. At the time, I was needed at home to care for a family member. In hindsight, it was the right thing to do. But graduate study abroad would have been a wonderful experience. Getting my brother a birthday present for his 23rd birthday. He killed himself later that day. I wish I could have seen him. Don't forget to check in on family. My brother was on leave from Iraq for a brief period. Asked me to go out and eat with the family. Made me promise I would. But I lost track of time playing World of Warcraft and missed it. Thought I'd have time to see him before he left, but I was wrong. The next day they found him dead in a hotel room from an overdose. It's been a decade, and I still haven't forgiven myself. I hope you don't think the birthday present could have been the thing to save him. Unfortunately, when someone is in that deep, it would take a lot more than that to save them. Had to accept that truth myself. It's not your fault. Worrying about what others thought about me so much. I would break up with my abusive ex a lot earlier, and then I would be more focused in college, be happier, and maybe patch up my relationship with my dad. Funny how one guy changed my life in such a drastic way. I regret not reaching out more, putting more effort into creating a tribe of support that would carry me through more difficult times. We socialize, sure, but many of us don't put enough importance on building deep and lasting friendships. Some do, many don't and wish they had. I regret not asking out my high school crush. What profession doesn't get enough credit or respect? People who clear up fatbergs in the sewers. I didn't know what a fatberg was, so I googled it. 10/10ths do not recommend. You know it's bad when Google Images has a picture of a sanitation worker gagging as one of its top image results for fatbergs. Is it an iceberg of lard? Garbage collectors. If they disappeared for a month, disease would set in. Lived in Toronto during a garbage strike. Fruit flies. Fruit flies everywhere. Toronto here. I recall hearing that strike has some responsibility for the raccoon population explosion. Not sure on truth of that though. Janitors. A simple good morning doesn't cost too much to say to them. My grandfather was a lab administrator in a lab. PhD in something or other. My mom has memories of him inviting the janitors and other similar workers for parties at their house when she was a kid. I definitely learned from that. Your grandpa sounds awesome. They're doing an important necessary job that all of us rely on and take for granted. And then they're insulted for it, and their job is synonymous with failure. It's actually really shitty when you think about it. I'm a janitor. I have multiple advanced degrees. I speak multiple languages. I'm learning programming when I'm not at work. I love the look on people's faces when they realize I'm actually a human, not an empty shell of a worker drone. My coworkers have had harder lives, but dude, they are just as smart if not smarter than I am. Dishwashers in restaurants. Backbreaking with terrible pay. People who have survived an attempted murder. What is your story? Random dude shot me in the chest because he thought I was my drug dealer neighbor. My neighbor was 63 and black. I'm 511 and white. Jokes on him. All he got were a few cigarettes, some pocket change, and 35 years on an attempted second-degree homicide conviction. I saw two people stab someone to death in what I assume was a drug deal gone wrong when I was on a night walk. Spent another hour being chased and hiding in a backyard so they wouldn't do the same to me. Scary night. Mine's not that good of a story. I was walking down the street and somebody missed me in a drive-by. It was like that scene in The Apartment in Pulp Fiction. Where do you live where people just do drive-bys? That would be in the hood of Phoenix as. It's not super common, but it does happen. Literally like any major city in the US, has drive-bys happen from time to time. Not super common, depending on the city, but also not so unheard of that it would be surprising to hear of. Just most of them don't injure or kill anyone, so they don't get much coverage.